All right, Stuart from
Or
Australia.
overseas.
Stuart, where are you located?
In Australia, for those who are unsure, Australia, we're on I guess if you're looking at a map, right-hand side, Brisbane, halfway up Brisbane, or halfway up Australia on the right-hand side. That's
Yeah.
where we are. So if you know,
And of course, you're a legend in the
oh,
sports hypnosis world.
secret.
Secret,
Who says so?
the
Probably should
athlete's
have worn the shirt,
secret
should have.
weapon.
Secret weapon. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
So how did it all start? Um, Combining
oh,
hypnosis and sports.
interesting conversation, and I don't think anyone ever decides when they grow up they're going to be a hypnotist. No one ever thinks I'm going to go into hypnotherapy because that's me. I I kind of fell into it through the family. My my mum and dad were both hypnotherapists and also into naturopaths. So both naturopath hypnotherapists specializing in weight loss and anxiety type of clients. And I was a martial artist. So Taekwondo was my sport. And it was one of those moments where I was in the lead up to one of my black belt gradings. And I was just talking to my mum and just went, I've got all this stuff because I was traveling 2 weeks every month for work. I was a national sales manager at the time for a product and I was traveling. So my training was inconsistent. And because my training was inconsistent, I was inconsistent. And I was talking to mum coming up to one of my gradings and went, I just don't know because what I did in my sport and martial arts was dangerous. So I've got a 6 meter by 6 meter square mat that I'm choosing to step onto in front of someone who's trained to kill me. So it kind of goes beyond sport and it's more about life and death. It's more about survival. And when I was sharing that with mum, she goes, well, I can help you with the mindset aspect of it through the hypnosis. And I thought that was just weight loss and smoking and anxiety and eating stuff. And she went, yeah, but it's the brain is still the brain, whether you're performing, whether you're not, whether it's anxiety or fear, it's the same sort of thing. So my mum with very little sporting knowledge is sitting there and she's kind of drawing all the information out for me as to how I need to be. And there I was for 90 minutes just going, my brain's just going, yeah, whatever. This is just your mum talking. But the next day I went to training and something had switched. And I was average at best. And then I started competing in local events, state events, national events, international events. And I was in the training squad leading up to the Sydney Olympics 2000, the Taekwondo. So I had the skill set, but I just didn't have this right. And when I got this right, the skill set didn't increase. It's just matched my potential and my abilities. And what I realized is my ability within the sales background, within the sports backgrounds, and results that I got with my sport. And I thought my son was on the way. He was 3 months, or probably 6 months from being born. And I just went, I need a change in my life. What can I do? And my mum said, well, she's going to retire. So I thought if I can jump in there, take her business, and then start diverting this and building it towards more the sports focus because I knew the power and the results it gave me. I just thought that'd be really good business that I could work from home. I could be around my son. Um, so I did my training, and I guess for me, it's one of those things. It's like people know when they fall into something good. It was just so easy. It was natural. The ability that I had to communicate with people, to understand needs, to understand how the brain worked. And within 3 hours of my practitioner training, we're already hypnotizing people. And my trainer just said, "You've passed." because I was doing things there that he was unsure where I learned them from. And I just went, this is just easy. It's understanding the human mind. It's understanding the sports and the performance aspect through what I've been through and understanding what I went through with my mum and the results. So I just went, let's give it a crack. And did my training, walked out of there and went, yeah, I've got this, no problem at all. Went into my job and resigned immediately. I went, I'm out. This is what I'm doing now. And then all of a sudden the reality hit was like, oh, what have I done? It's not just opening doors and they will come. And we're talking 19 years ago now. So social media was non-existent, smartphones non-existent, websites cost $3,500 for a one-page static page. One-page static website. So I had to make it work. So I used my sales skills and abilities and just communicated and talked to people and brought them into this new profession and this new industry that is the mindset for sports. Because traditionally there's sports psychology and that's about it. But what I realized is that having been through what I went through, and then I actually went to do a bit of sports psychology and signed up for a course. I got 3 weeks into it and went, this is all backwards. This is all looking back at the past. This is dealing with stuff in the past that I'm sure that in a typical life environment, it probably works. But what I found is because I'm going to head towards being one of the best in the world for sports hypnosis, I realized that the elite athletes and elite performers, they don't want to go backwards. They just want to go, I'm here. That's where I want to go. What do I need to change to make that possible? So what I found within my confidence as being a martial artist and being in sales, for me, it was just simply, it made sense. Why go backwards? We can't change it. We can change feelings, we can change emotions, but they can also change by getting better results. So for me, it was a matter of, right, how can I help these athletes to get better results? Changing this based on my experience that I had within my sport and with my mum. And that was 19 years ago. And here we are now with 48 world and Olympic champions. So I must be doing something okay.
Say that again. How many?
48.
48.
48 world and Olympic champions. And this is not just like one Olympic or one world champion who might have got 10 world records. This is one world champion. So if you look at the numbers of world titles, it's probably in several hundreds. But it's just 48 individuals, 2 Olympic gold medals from the last Paris Olympics. So
Amazing.
we're up there. We're up there. So doing something really well. And I guess even my branding, I'm the CEO of the Elite Mindset Institute. So we're kind of very much focused on the elite and elite performers in sport, business, life, art, science, the elite performers. And what I found is in that top 5% of the elite, they do something different. Okay? So we need to start thinking about that. And I've gone, they don't want to go backwards. They don't want to tell me back to parents, what's your favorite color and how was your childhood and did you wet your bed? They don't need to know about that. This was just purely moving forward. What I realized is the typical hypnosis process is incredibly powerful. Then you add on NLP as well, which is more power beyond that. But a lot of it is very backwards focused, as we know, is like past life. And even if you look at timeline therapy, a lot of it is going backwards. Whereas timeline therapy that I use is generally forward focused. So I go in, project them into the future to experience the win and then reverse engineer back to today. So mine's more of a very future focused timeline where we start using the neural pathways and changing the beliefs, imagining, visualizing the future having been achieved. And then those traits of that person then start coming back. So it's kind of very much reversed. And what I realized, typical hypnosis process is very powerful, but they're not exactly what elite athletes want.
Yeah. So there's always a correlation between the past, the present, and the future.
Mm.
As in this moment, your past person, your past identity knows how you got there,
Mm.
but your present identity has absolutely no idea how to achieve that best possible outcome. So in this case, you're using the advice of the future self and creating a path to the best possible outcome, starting from the
Good.
present moment.
Yeah. So you could look at, say, for example, a mirror. I do that a fair bit. I'll give you a bit of a rundown. If I have my people looking at the past, if you're standing in front of a mirror looking at the past, what you're seeing is a perfect reflection of everything you've ever done, correct? Everything you've decided to do, every thought, every action, how you decided to cut your hair, what you decided to eat over the last 12 months, because that's going to be a pure reflection of what you're seeing, correct?
Yes,
So therefore, if you're a result of that, and if you've got all these issues, the issues and the problems have all been created back in the past as well, correct? So therefore, if we just simply do this and then create the new avatar of the new ideal person, and then now we start becoming a reflection of that person. So we start changing the attitude, the behaviors, the beliefs based on the future person. So we start kind of evolving into that person, into the future. So for me, it's very powerful that if the past has created the issues, therefore the solution has to be in the future.
absolutely.
But at least we're having a fairly clear and defined avatar or perception of what the future looks like. Then we can make um, choices based on that, because that's the pathway we're heading, rather than I'll make a choice based on not wanting that. So very, very solutions focused, very driven towards. So it's very much a towards type of process and I guess program and the flow that I work with.
Yeah. Well, what do you think that's the biggest mental difference between a top athlete and a
Mm.
sub athlete?
It's basically down to fear. It's fear, but it's not the fear that a lot of people have. It's a lot of people would say, I've got a fear of failure. And I would always say, that's great. I want you to have a fear of failure because like you've been to Australia now, you know everything in Australia wants to kill you, every animal. So we got spiders and we got snakes and we got sharks and we got crocodiles. We got everything here. So if you've got a fear of spiders, you move away from it, correct? We're naturally wired to move away from fears. If you got a fear of snakes, you move away from them. So if you actually had a fear of failure, you would be moving away from it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
So therefore, what happens is most athletes think they've got this fear of failure, so they're focused on failure, okay, and not failing. Okay, don't think about a blue car. Okay? So they're focused on not failing, which is using the terminology of failing. But really, what I've experienced and what I've noticed is most athletes have got a fear of success. The fear of success is what happens if they might be in this team that when they become better, they get pushed into a different community or a different team. They might be traded into this team. They might have their perception of this is as good as I can be, and then they don't take these opportunities. You look at a lot of the famous sports stars that when they become really successful, you get a lot of social media hate. You get a lot of trolling. You get a lot of threats. You need security. You're putting your family and partners and future at risk. You've got high contract dollar figures that could potentially be wiped out. The more successful, the more you have to push. The more you push, the more you can get injured. So the brain is naturally going to try and hide hold itself back from success so that minimizes risk, minimizes injury. As we know, the number one priority for the human mind is emotional protection. So it's protecting yourself from potential hurt, potential harm, physically and emotionally. So it's trying to hold these athletes back from performing at their best in case they get injured, in case they become successful. You might have a fear of public speaking. Guess what? If you're not winning, you don't get interviewed. So therefore, the secondary gains, the fear of success, will cut in to go, well, if I'm only getting third or fourth or fifth in every event, I'm not getting interviewed. Therefore, I don't have to do all these speaking engagements. So there's a huge amount of fear of success of, can I do it? Can I not do it? What happens if I crash? Because what I find with elite athletes, the higher they go, the bigger the crash at the end of it. And this is what happens is the more successful they become, the bigger the crash. So what the brain is trying to do is to hold them back from success so that the crash doesn't seem as bad. So it's an incredibly powerful internal battle between the logic and the emotions.
And you never use a regression from where the fear originates?
What is fear? You can only feel fear at the moment, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
So their fear is, I want to do well, but I don't want to do too well. There's too much pressure. Right? The fear, and what I find is when you focus on the future and you project yourself into the future enough and get them onto the podium at the Olympics or holding up a world trophy or a premiership cup, that vision, that belief starts to unravel a lot of the fears as well. To go, right, now I am this, what does my life look like? So what they're feeling as fear is only based on past experiences. So the future projection, rather than going back, so the future projection, when you look at a lot of that, is enough to start dissolving a lot of the fear-based response, because they go, oh, that actually looks pretty good. When they know what they're working towards, they're more likely to approach it because they've very much got this big rubber band now from the future coming back now. So then when they do make any movement, they're actually being dragged into this, rather than a lot of people are busy trying to move away from a pain rather than going towards the solution. So the fear itself, I certainly find that it's minimized a lot through future pacing, changing, reframing a lot of their beliefs. So that first session for me is a very strong, very powerful, you've got this, you've been training, bang, 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 you can do this.
Yeah.
If you want to look at an equation I use for a lot for athletes is existing results equal the potential minus their fear. Okay? So existing results in anyone, any person, existing results equal your potential or your capabilities minus your fear. So what happens if we minimize the fear? What happens? You get closer to your potential. And what is fear? Yeah, fear is it's a sensation triggered by something. The fear is there to protect us, to go, what you're about to do is dangerous. My athletes know that, but when they accept that there's danger, then they're more likely not to actually hold themselves back, because they know performing well, performing hard, performing fast is going to get the result. As soon as you start holding back, their performance drops. So they understand that.
And
So
when do you know they're ready actually to win, instead of a mental concept saying rationally, yeah, yeah, I'm ready to win? When do you know, now you're ready?
the athlete generally doesn't know. Okay, this is the hard thing for me, and this is, look, I'm doing a lot of the processes I've created and and fine-tuned over the years and kept to myself, being the secret weapon.
Mhm.
Those processes I'm now sharing with other people. But what I realize is the athletes, they don't know how good they can be. They don't know when they're ready. Okay. One of my Olympic gold medalists from Paris, I had to hold that level of belief for her to go, I know you can do it. You've got this. She'd been to see 3 sports psychologists, and they're saying this and doing that, and or should you be doing this? Go back and have a look at that crash. Whereas as she said, the first meeting she had with me, which is, hang on, what do you want to achieve? She goes, Olympic gold medal. Great, let's go, let's make it happen. And she said that I was the first person to actually believe and trust that she could do it. As soon as she said she can do it, I then stepped in and I held that belief for her for 18 months until she became the Olympic champion, and then she realized she could do it. I've got motor races over in the Indy series over in America. You know, the Indy Grand Prix, Indianapolis, the IndyCar series. I've got drivers over there that finally one of my drivers said, hey, Weapon, I finally believe I can do this. And I've gone, yeah. I said, who do you think has been holding that belief for the last 8 years? And he goes, yeah, good point. So I hold that belief for the athletes. And I have that much belief in myself, my resources, my tools, and them as an athlete to achieve that. But I have to have this very strong belief in their results. And it's this driver over in the States now. He was Australian Formula Ford champion here in Australia, but when I first met him, he could never get on the podium. So I started working with him. He got on the podium. Then he won the international series, and he went over to the Mazda Road to Indy scholarship series over in the US. And he won that and got 200,000 US as a sponsorship. Then he went from that series into the next series, into the next series, into Indy NXT, and now up in the IndyCar series. And all that time, over 8 years, I'm the one that's holding that belief that, yes, you can do it. Okay? So when you ask, how does an athlete know? They don't. Athletes will not know what they're capable of. It's strange, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Mm.
You would imagine they already hold the belief, but I guess that's Mother Nature. Aren't
They
we all
don't. And
holding ourselves back?
yeah, and that's the thing. For a lot of practitioners, hypnotherapists, you don't need to believe that you can be someone. It just, if someone says, look, I believe in you, that should be enough for you to take that. You don't need it from anyone else. You don't need to find that belief in yourself before you make a change. Just trust that something's going to happen. Okay? So athletes, there's always going to be someone. Like athletes, they might have a coach and the coach is talking to them at this level, but the athlete's only at this level. The coach or the parents are going, you can be this, you can do this. And the athlete's going, but I'm only down here. It's not until the coach comes down or the parents come down to the athlete level and go, you got this, let's work on it together. And that's when this happens. You start lifting them up.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, athletes will never be happy. You can have, and I've got it, had it done before. I got a 3-time Olympic kayaker. Okay, 3-time Olympic kayaker. She wanted to be a world champion. I worked with her. She went over to the world titles, and it was on a Saturday morning, probably 3 years ago. I got a message from her saying, Stu, well, that just happened. K1, 1000 world champion. So K1 is a single-seater kayak, 1000 is 1,000 meters. And I sent her a message saying, congratulations, world champ. Enjoy the celebration. Didn't hear anything for 6 hours. Then I got a message and said, oh, sorry, Weapon, the data is inaccurate. I went, what? She goes, oh, since you sent me that message, I've now got the K2 500 world title. So the K2 is the 2-seater kayak over 500 meters. So she's picked up 2 world titles over 6 hours. And this is what I'm getting at. Athletes don't believe in themselves. They still don't think they're good enough. They still have this imposter syndrome. I sent her a message and said, congratulations, dual world champion. And to quote her was, thanks, Stu. Been a good week. Still more work to do.
Whoa. So no celebration at
That,
all.
no, still more work to do. That's the mentality of every elite performer. That is it. And if they come off the field and they've got a personal best and a gold medal or a premiership, they want more.
Yeah.
They want more. They still don't believe that they're capable of doing it. Well, why me? I'm just this person. Oh yeah, I've just got 2 world titles. No, not good enough. Still more to do. Got to train harder. And this, unfortunately, it's so hard for the typical clinical hypnotherapist to understand. They just think, oh, when you work with these amazing athletes, it's great. But I tell you what, it's the hardest I've ever worked when you work with these people, because you've got to hold that space for them. You've got to hold the belief. You've got to keep picking them up and pushing them towards their future for them, because they still don't believe it's going to be possible.
And I guess that's the reason why
So
people
it's you
stick
can,
with you for many years. I mean, if
yeah.
there's always a
Mm.
new target, a new goal, they need help.
Yeah. And I find this, I mean, for me, today it's the 1st of December here in Australia. I'm not sure time zones or whoever's going to be watching this, but you are now the first day in winter, aren't you?
Yes.
We got the first day of summer. So who we are in winter is different to who we are in summer. So every 3 months, because of climate, because of sunlight, because of weather conditions and food and environmental factors, they affect our DNA and our responses. So I know that every 3 months, I need to reset, need to get them refocused for the next 3 months, because what they're doing now is not going to help them in 3 months' time. So we need to shift now so that they're ready for another 3 months' time.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
these are, sorry, go for
During the years, have you seen some interesting behavior from athletes to actually destroy their own career or to sabotage
it.
themselves?
Yeah. Again, this is what I was saying before about the fear of success. The
Hmm.
fear of failure, I've noticed you can get an athlete to about 80% of their performance. Okay? Most people with a fear of success will hit about 80% of their potential, okay? In life, not just within sport. It's sport, in business, in life. You'll get to about 80% by having a fear of failure, because it'll actually push you towards this. But it's the fear of success that seems to be about that 20% pushback. Okay? So the reason why they stay with me, because I can help them manage that 20%. So every 3 months they'll be back. The fear of success, the driving, the pushing, but it takes a lot of energy. And it's when you get your clients with like a world title or Olympic gold medal, they're up on the podium and they're celebrating, and I'm sitting here and I'm bawling my eyes out as well, because I'm that connected and we've got that much of a connection and the work that we've done behind the scenes to make it happen. So it is incredibly rewarding, incredibly draining, incredibly powerful. But that 20%, that fear of success, and that's what we're saying before, that seems to be the fear of success, which is why people sabotage. Let me just hold myself back. It's like people who might be in business. If they've been up here in business and it's crashed, the brain remembers the pain, not the success. So it tries to minimize the pain next time so it won't go as high. So then if it does crash, it's not going to be as much. But when you do crash, you reflect then on the memory of the bad one. So this becomes bigger. So then they hold back a bit more and hold back a bit more. It's
Yeah.
the same with athletes, is if they have a crash, if they have a bad experience, if they get nervous, because they might be, well, I know the swimmers at the moment are training for the 20, what is it? It's 21st of July 2028 is the start of the Olympics. I know swimmers are already training to peak on that day. And we're talking, so they've got a lot of trust in the end result. So the self-sabotage is, am I doing enough? But what if I'm not as successful? What if this doesn't happen? The fear of, will I do a good job? Will I even be selected for the team? Because they're leaving a lot of success to chance, because 2.5 years of training, and they still don't know what they're going to achieve. They still don't know if they're going to be selected. So there is an element of self-sabotage, because you will find the more an athlete pushes, the physical realm as well then starts coming to play. And the brain is going, you're pushing me too hard. I'm going to start slowing you down so you don't hurt me too much. So they try and push even harder, and the brain's trying to slow them down until they get so sick, so injured or broken that they have to have a break. But then they start going back again, and the brain's going, no, no, you hurt me last time. You're not listening to me. Bang, crash. So whether it's self-sabotage or whether it's self-protection mode within the brain, I think is more appropriate for athletes.
Yeah.
But
Which is
you're,
probably the same also with non-athletes, like in business or entrepreneurship, or
yeah,
even in daily life with all
yeah,
of us.
yeah. And it really is. And this is why I love the peak performance side of hypnosis, because the elite business people and the elite athletes are very similar. Okay. The athletes these days are becoming more like their own businesses anyway. They've got merchandising, they've got contracts, they've got influencer payments, they've got sponsorships. So every athlete is acting more like a business person. And we've seen it within business now. Business people are operating more like athletes. They're starting to look after their own health. They're starting to watch what they eat. They're starting to focus on going to the gym and exercise and eat the right things. So the athlete and the business people are very, very similar now in mindset. So that's where a lot of performance comes from. But again, there's a lot of self-imposed gurus out there that are basically saying you have to push, you have to grind, you have to hustle, you have to get a second side hustle, and you've got to go harder, push, push, push towards your goals. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, what's happening is people don't know how to work the cycles within the brain and the energy. I
yeah,
find that I get greater success with athletes and business people by stopping them, by refocusing, by slowing them down, and then be very intentional about the move forward, rather than being anxious or driven by fear towards something.
yeah,
So my athletes are very balanced as far as energy in, where are you going, very intentional. If they're not feeling 100%, they're not going to go and train,
yeah.
right? Because they don't want to be training at 80 or 90 or 30%. If they can't beat 100%, they don't go to training.
Now the athletes also have physical coaches, or
Yeah.
maybe a separate mental coach. I have no idea. How do you blend in with that team, or are they afraid of you?
Yes. Yes. A lot of, and I found this, coaches, player managers, player sponsorship, coaches, tackling coaches, the more you go into a team, the more coaches there are. There'll be a head coach, there'll be assistant coaches, there'll be a tackling coach, there'll be this coach, there'll be a nutrition coach. Everyone seems to be a coach. But what happens is, because there's so many external factors, the athlete is being pulled in 20 different directions. Now, the way I normally describe this is the fact that you can have the best nutritional plan, but if your head isn't switched on, you're not going to eat the right plan. You can have the best physical plan, but if your head's not switched on, you're not going to stick to it. So imagine a brick wall. You've got 30 bricks in this wall. Right? Guess what? Easily pushed over because there's nothing holding them together. That's nutrition, that's weight, that's training, that's technical, that's tactical, that's body. The brain is the bit that holds everything together. So that's how I immerse myself into a team or into a group of player supporters or athlete support team. I become the glue that will hold nutrition. Okay, now we've got them in the right place. Now they're going to stick to the diet. Now we've got them in the right place, they'll stick to the exercise. Now that we've got that happening, this is what's going to happen. Unfortunately, and this is interesting, that a lot of athletes, once they start getting results quickly, they give me all the credit, which then upsets all the other coaches. So for me, it's very much, no, all I'm doing is bringing it all together and getting the brain aligned to the other modalities. So therefore, yeah, they can give me the credit, but I push a lot of it back because they might have a coach for 10 years, 15 years before they even see me.
Yeah.
But then instantly we get great results. And then the coaches go, well, and they feel all deflated and their ego and everything is pulled down because who is this person who's just come in 2 1-hour sessions and bang, they're getting new personal bests. So I tend to deflect a lot of my success and a lot of what the athletes say, and then go, no, it's a team thing. I'm just the one who's able to bring everything together in the brain so that each component then maximizes for the performance. So you will have athletes reach out that don't want to be seen as working with someone like a mindset coach because they think, oh, it's not good. It's not good to be seen or working with the brain because it just means that you're weak. But it's interesting that most of the good athletes in the world actually have a mindset coach.
But
So what you
what
find
would
is,
because there are many mindset coaches, and what you do is something completely different. So
yeah,
what's the difference between a mental coach or a mindset coach and you?
I think it's the traditional hypnosis thing that scares a lot of people. You're going to make me do something stupid like hypnosis. Yeah, like I'm going to be out of control. Well, you're out of control anyway because you can't control your nerves, you can't control your performance. So there's a lot of the work that I have to do to basically dehypnotize them from existing beliefs, to take them away from that, because you go onto any social media platform, everyone's a specialist, everyone's got the secret, everyone's got the solution, just sign here, we can do this, but no one's got the success within the sporting realm that I do. But I'm the one that's kind of pushing it aside by going, it's just the processes. So sometimes you might get the coaches will contact you and buy in with you, and then you can communicate with the coaches that will help it get a greater understanding with the athlete as well. But other times the athletes don't want you to even talk to the coach and they'll keep it all internal
Oh,
because the athlete doesn't want to tell the coach that they've got a mental issue that's stopping them performing well. So sometimes I'm the communication method between the coach and the athlete without them even knowing.
yeah.
So I'll always have my coach's hat on by going, what the coach is really wanting you to do is do this. So I would imagine we do this and then start doing this with the results. The coach then takes ownership and go, they're getting better results. Keep doing that. Then they'll push the athlete a little bit more. Then I want more conversation from the athlete about what the coach is actually saying and wanting. And then I'll work directly with the athlete to deliver what they need to for the coach. So it's a very fine balance of working with, some athletes. If you look at tennis as an example, when you go to tennis and Wimbledon or US Open and you see the player box and there's 20 people in the box, yet sometimes I've got to communicate with 20 different people to get this player in the zone without upsetting them, without offending them, without taking away their power or their abilities and skills as separate coaches.
Yeah.
So it is a very fine, balanced approach, of which I've narrowed it down to a fairly simple blueprint that I work with most of my athletes. It's
Yeah.
got you thinking.
Interesting. I don't know whether we have the same expression here in Dutch. We say like it's sometimes walking on eggs. Be very, very careful.
Be very careful. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And this, unfortunately, walking on eggshells or walking on eggs as a hypnotherapist is not going to work with athletes, because you look at the traditional connection between a coach and an athlete. Coach says, athlete, do this. Athlete does it. So as practitioners, we can't afford to be suggestive. We've got to be very direct and go, right, you have to do that. Let's make the change now. So the athlete responds really well to very direct, very disciplined, very confident directives and future focused.
yeah,
They don't want to, right, next time you go to training, if you feel this, then you do this, then you take a deep breath in and you smile. Athletes just go, that's too rainbowish, as we call it, or too airy-fairy. It's not direct, it's too suggestive. But the athlete goes, right, shut up and run. Oh, okay. And they'll do it. Okay? So you've got to be very direct. So sometimes within my sessions, you've got to confront these athletes and you've got to bang, bang, this is how it's going to be.
yeah,
And that's why I find I get great success, because the confidence, I work on myself, I work on my body, I work on me so that I can perform at my best for the athletes.
yes,
But not many practitioners will actually focus on themselves as the leader in that field.
yeah.
Mm.
And that's where your program steps in, because you developed something after so many years of experience and successes.
Mm.
So hypnotists can join your training, and how to
Yeah,
become also successful in guiding athletes, correct?
yeah, absolutely. And this was triggered by Paris Olympics in 2024 last year, where two of my athletes got Olympic gold medals. And I know their backstories. And I know for sure that both of them would not have got that result if it wasn't for the work that I did. Now, for years, for 19 years, I've created these processes. I've kept it a secret. These athletes have kept it a secret. And it was after the Olympics that I've gone, I can't keep this a secret now, because here's two people whose lives have been transformed because of the results. Who am I to think that belongs to me and me only, these processes? So I've gone, this is bigger than me now, because if I get hit by a bus or stop working or can't work, these processes that transform people's lives, gone. So that's when I've gone, right, I don't want to go and train hypnotherapists or people into hypnosis, but what I can do is, once they're trained, if they want to learn about the athlete's secret weapon, I've got the approved practitioners training and mentoring. So there's 4 full-on days of training online, and then we go into a 2-hour locker room. So keeping the sporting thing, the locker room. For me, it's every Thursday morning here in Australia, 2 hours of ongoing support, guidance, case studies, mentoring, questioning. I bring one of my Olympic gold medalists, came through 3 weeks ago and did a talk for us. So to understand from an athlete perspective, the processes that she went through that delivered the gold medal. So I just thought, this is bigger than me now. I need to share these resources. And who better than already trained hypnotherapists? So if there's trained hypnotherapists who have a passion for sport, that have a passion for self-development, personal improvement, that would love to niche in this market, I've made every possible mistake over the last 19 years. But it's also because of that, it's made me successful within the realms of the athlete to understand how they work. The processes I've created have been created, fine-tuned, refined, and expanded, contracted over the last 19 years. So what seems like a very simple process is very, very scientific, evidence-based and results-based for athletes. So that's basically the training. So if there's anyone around, reach out, send me an email, and let's have a conversation because I'm only going to have, I'm not sure if you're aware, I'm only going to take 55 people on board. So when I want 55 people, I'm talking 55 worldwide. We've got 13 now. So athlete secret weapon approved practitioners, 13 on board. And we want to be there at the Los Angeles Olympics 2028. 55 practitioners from around the world. If we all have 10 athletes each at the Olympics, there's 550 athletes we're going to support, guide, mentor, get them through the Olympics, but it also gives us time for a big sort of workshop, conference, celebration, gala dinner, and enjoyment of our success as well. And I
Yeah.
guess for me, keeping the numbers low means I get really good quality people.
Yeah. And because sometimes people think they are unable to do that,
Mm,
like the athlete.
yeah.
Besides having the basic skills of hypnosis, is there anything else they need?
No, it's if you're already a trained hypnotherapist and you're in business, um, it's like, right, you've learned how to play. You've learned the basics. Now I'm going to teach you how to play in this area
Yeah, yeah.
because it is a totally different mindset. As I'll just give you an example, you've obviously trained with parts integration.
Hmm.
Okay, parts integration. A part of me wants to, a part of me doesn't, then we'll bring it all together. Now, just as an example, the work, if you do that for athletes, it's not effective because you've met me now in Melbourne. We had a few drinks together. The person I am, you probably couldn't imagine me in martial arts hitting someone, really hurting them, but that's who I needed to be. So if this is the person that's also becoming an athlete and they're becoming a person, it doesn't work that way. So the way I work is we do a part separation. So we separate the person from the athlete. We wire the athlete up to perform at this level. So when they perform at this level, when they've got greater success and greater confidence, then when they step back into life, this lifts. Then we send this person back out to play. They perform well, they step back out, this lifts. So we're constantly working on personal growth of the person by performing better.
Yeah.
And we're talking about fears. A lot of the fears the athletes have got are personal fears, not sporting fears.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you take the fears out and they're naturally going to perform better.
Yeah.
Right? So
And
just simple little things like that, where we're talking about incredibly powerful hypnosis processes, but shifting them for an athlete, shifting them for peak performance. It makes all the difference.
yeah.
So as long as they're trained in hypnotherapy and or NLP, NLP is really the magic. But as long as you got that and you got a real passion and you're confident and you can hold that space for someone, you'll be great.
Yeah. And how can people reach out to you?
Just email me. I'm sure we'll have an email somewhere, either Athlete Secret Weapon or Elite Mindset Institute. Athlete Secret Weapon is always a good one to remember.
Yeah.
On all the social medias, it'll be around. Otherwise, I'm sure you'll have a email or some connection.
Yeah. Wonderful. Or people can
Yeah,
reach out to me and I'll give you your
yeah, for sure. for sure. Because it's incredibly powerful, it's rewarding, it's draining, but you know when you have those real I won't say traumatic, but those clients that are real low and you get a breakthrough and you
Hmm.
just got that. But then I find if I've got an elite athlete and then like I call it like a clinical client, bang, I crash because you go through their emotions. Then you're up here again, then you crash again, then you're up here. And I find that really draining. Whereas when you're just working straight with athletes, you just go, I can't believe I'm getting paid to work with these incredible household names. Some of the names that I can share with you, and you go, whoa, David, it's, yeah, it's enjoyable, it's rewarding. And look, to be honest, it's not about the money, but I tell you what, they pay well. You look at some of these athletes that are on 10, 20, $30 million for a contract. If they're only on $1 or $2 million or just making it, then all of a sudden they're at the next level, they get an international contract. Or you might have a golfer who wins a major tournament and there's bang, $3 million.
Yeah,
You get someone who plays football over in Europe, and all of a sudden, because I've done that, I worked with someone who was FC Barcelona last year, and I worked with them. When I first started with them, they're on €3 million. They're at 18 million now. So what's the difference? Okay. Yeah. So the brain is incredibly powerful when you can manage it, when you can manage it really well. So if they can hold that space and be confident in applying the knowledge and confident level of growth, so that you can have any household name, any team anywhere in the world. So if FC Barcelona phoned me up and said, hey, can you come over and talk to us? Yeah, no problem at all. Okay? If you're not comfortable in doing that, yeah, probably not the sort of person that's needed. But I can guarantee, and we'll go back to what we said before about mindset coaches. There is, I would say, by the time people go through the 4 days of training with me for the specific processes, that they also go through their own peak performance program with me that I would take an athlete through. When they go through that 4 days of training, I reckon they're probably about 12 years into my journey. And I would probably say they're about 95% ahead of any other mindset coach in the world because of the quality of the processes, the resources, the methods that they get, the support they get. I know people that have, yeah, there's a professional football team over in the US, and I did one of their online performance coaching sessions. And I thought, if this is what the best in the world are doing, yeah, yeah, it's not too good in comparison to what we can deliver through hypnosis. Okay. Unfortunately, sports psychology is just not able to really hit the programs that we know that can change within hypnosis.
yeah.
They're very surface driven. They're very talk therapy rather than us, which is solutions based and rewiring around the issue.
Well, that is the advantage of working with hypnosis. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, yeah. And this is what we're saying in Melbourne. And unfortunately, in Australia, when you came over for the conference, there's so much incredible power and professionalism within our associations, within our industry, within our profession. But unfortunately, there's so many people playing down here when what we can deliver and the success and our methods, we can all be playing up at this level. But we just need to step up as a profession.
Yeah. You know, when an athlete wants to go from A to B, or a hypnotist wants to go from A to B, or a client wants to go from A to B, it's all the same.
Mm,
And if you can go as a client to someone who has already walked the path, who
mm.
has had results, um, proof of concept, then it's just following the steps and the advice. You
Yeah.
don't have to
And
figure it out
that's,
all on yourself. You
yeah.
just do.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I had to. I had to. I basically did my training, left my job, and went, right, this is what I'm going to do. Bang.
yeah,
And there was one person that I knew. He passed. He was so sick 3 months after I'd done my training. We spent a bit of time together. He's already mid 80s by the time I met him, and he passed 6 months after I'd started. So that few months of mentoring and guidance and a few ideas literally transformed what I was expecting and intending to do.
yeah,
So unfortunately, I've had to create the ideas, the options, bang down doors, kick down doors, break into the athlete's profession industry, and create my own way because there was no one else I could model from or look towards by going, what do we do and how do we do this?
yeah. It
So
all boils down to choice. Whether
yeah,
if you want to be successful in a field,
yeah,
it's a decision,
yeah,
and from the moment you've made the decision, it's just doing the things repetitively,
yep.
which will bring you there. So
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also, and like I do with every athlete, every business person, even myself, set the goals, and that's going to guide you towards what you want to achieve. There's too many people just going, I will see where it goes. And I think you've got to be very deliberate, very intentional with what the goals are. Come back to go, right, is what I'm doing going to help me? No, if not, change it.
yeah, but
But
also
how
for
do
a
you stay?
hypnotist, also for
Mm,
a hypnotist, if they want to
yeah,
be really out there and perform and
yeah,
have results, it's all about choice. Do you want
yeah.
it or not? And if so,
Mm.
there is a plan.
Yeah. And working with athletes is great because you don't need to keep finding new clients. Once you provide the support and once you get the results, they will do one session every 3 months or one every month. Right? So you don't have to keep looking for new clients and they expect to pay at reasonable rates because you're a professional. You're a specialist in that.
Mm.
So instead of doing smoking and weight loss and anxiety, where people are, I'm not sure what the exchange rate is, let's just call it 100 or 200 euro or pound or US dollars, you can be 2 or 3 times that and they're happy to pay it because of the results.
Yeah. Good.
Mm, cool.
The first moment I saw you in Melbourne this year at the conference, the Australian Hypnosis conference, it was my pleasure.
It was good fun, wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
good fun.
yeah,
The industry, the profession, and this is it's actually interesting. It's like athletes. When I first meet them, you know that they're going to be good. You know they're going to be successful. When I first met you, I just got, wow, this man has got incredible energy and he's professional at what he does. Before I even knew what you did, there was that level of, right, we got this. So again, it's like we're talking about the work that we do is becoming that person that can step up and stand out and be seen.
yeah. So, and here we are.
Good. Here we
So
are.
if people want to reach out directly to Stuart Athlete's Secret Weapon or Elite Mind Institute, or reach out to me, and we'll sort it out. Thank you so
Mm.
much, Stuart.
You're welcome. Thank you. We'll have to catch up and do another coffee when no one else is listening and having a chat. It's
Yeah,
always fun.
yeah,
But yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. I know it's one of those things, it may not be your thing, but at least look at it for yourself as a professional and a practitioner to go, what can I do to be the best in my field? If it's weight loss, if it's smoking, if it's health, or if it's medical or dentistry, whatever it is, how can you step up to be the best version of yourself as well?
yeah. And also after listening to this interview, I think when people start to work a little bit more on tackling the fear of failure and the fear of success, I think they will have lots of benefits out of this.
Yeah. And and that's the thing. If you don't want to work with athletes and you know athletes, send them my way. I'll pay you a commission. I'll pay you a percentage. That's all good. It's all good. But the market it's a huge amount of potential. It's just untapped because people don't know where to go to for athletes and sport and mindset. They don't know what to do. They think psychology is the way forward, but psychology is very backward. But they just go, well, what else do we do? And
Yeah,
that's why hypnosis is so powerful. It's brilliant.
absolutely.
So thank
So
you.
you're welcome. And for those who are watching, thank you and see you later.